It's Fernando Ruiz Art.
Hi everybody, and we are looking at my drawing of G.I. Joe's Flash. And this is Flash, who was the laser rifle trooper, one of the original 13 Joes. And, as it happens, he was the very first G.I. Joe I would buy way back when I was a kid, back in 1982. He was the figure that started it all for me and G.I. Joe. So today what we're going to do, Flash is, he's in black and white, been penciled, inked, and now tonight we're going to give him some color. And he's got some unique situations going on here. Recently you saw me color fellow Joe member Clutch, and here is the finished Clutch. And Clutch, you can see I tried to give him the sort of G.I. Joe card art background, you know, the big bursting red and yellow effect. And maybe we'll talk about that too if we've got the time. Probably won't be able to finish Flash in the time that we have, but we should be able to cover a lot of ground, especially Flash here presents some unique situations. You know, he's got, for example, he's got this visor, he's got the laser gun itself, and he wears this special padding. So I'm going in, and he's got this visor. I want to try and keep that visor looking nice and translucent. So I'm going to color the flesh tone underneath that visor. I'm going to leave that fairly light, and I'm going to hit it with a little of my B00, which is my lightest blue. I'm going to go in there and give it a couple of streaks to make it look nice and shiny and reflective, and maybe a couple of streaks of my C1, my cool gray #1, just to add to the reflectiveness. And the flesh underneath I'm going to keep nice and pale, maybe even leave a little bit more white than I normally would, just to keep that looking like we're looking at it through that visor. The flesh that we see underneath the visor, that exposed flesh, that we can color in it like normal. I want to get a little bit of the flesh, which is a little bit rosier, and color in his lips a little bit, maybe just do a little bit underneath the visor there, but I want to keep that fairly clear. I also want to grab a little bit of the C3 cool gray #3, because I want to give Flash the hint of a 5 o'clock shadow, just by graying up his jawline and chin a little bit, and that'll make him look a little scruffier. And then maybe we'll darken up the skin just a little bit under here, a little bit under the eyes, maybe show as if the helmet itself were casting some light. But otherwise, I do want to keep that fairly light. Maybe we could even go in with a little bit of the green, some light green, as though we're looking at the helmet through the visor. Okay. Now, one of the main things here with Flash is that laser gun of his. And that's one of the things I want to talk about, because we're doing metal here. So the laser gun is going to be largely gray. And what I'm doing here, I'm picking my C5, which is a cool gray #5. And I'm going to go kind of through the middle of this thing. And he also has a little bit of the, you know, this pack on the back, which is what the laser gun plugs into. So I'm going to go in with this, and maybe even pull out the C7, which is even darker. I'm going to hit this up a few little accents with this. the way down the gun here. I'm gonna keep things simple and just keep the gun fairly monochromatic, which means mostly one color. So this is all gonna be a fairly dark gray, really coming out of some of the black that I have down. And then pick it up with the C5. And maybe go in with the C3. As I get to the top, what happens is I'm lightening up my gray. Okay, and I'm leaving some of the white, and that's what will make my gun look a little more cylindrical. Okay. The gun on the side I want to keep fairly gray. Maybe not show any white on the side, because that way it'll look darker on the side of the gun. And what I do want to do is pick up that B00 again, that very light blue, and I'm going to hit the underside of the gun to make it look like it's reflecting a little bit of cool light. Okay, I hope these colors are coming through. It may not translate as faithfully, maybe even down here, you know, because this is on video. But as always, once I finish these things, I'm always posting these on my social media, Instagram and Facebook. So please, the links are in the description below. Make sure, if you're not following me, please follow me on Instagram. I need followers. I love followers. So please stalk me on Instagram, Facebook, and you'll always be able to see all this stuff that I'm showing you how to draw. You'll be able to see how it turns out. Because I know in the 10-15 minutes that I like to keep these videos, we don't always get to that final stage. So sometimes you guys might be wondering, you know, how do these things look? So now, as I move to the top, I'm going back to the C3, the cool gray number 3. And I'm keeping the gun fairly lighter on the top and the front part. Keeping it light, leaving that white in places. If you feel that blue is a little too blue, you could always mute it by hitting it up with a little bit of the gray, and that'll calm it down even more. But you know, that's up to you. But especially on that muzzle, I like to leave that white showing, because again, that's where you really see the cylinder of the shape. And then go back in with the C7, the really dark gray. And maybe there's little spots where you may want to push the dark a little bit more and let things recede and separate. A little bit of the detail here. And the thing is, you know, you kind of noodle the gun this way because you're fussing here with every little screw and widget on the gun. And, you know, people are just going to look at that gun and in a split second just say, oh, it's a gun. And that's it. That's all she wrote for the gun. And just a little bit of the red here to show that that's where the beam, the laser beam comes out of. And we may revisit that red again in a bit. Okay. I want to do a little bit on this padding. So actually, I'm going to bring that red back even sooner than I thought. I want to do a little bit on this padding, because really what I want to do with the padding is go in with a little bit of dark red, and I'm going to treat each pad here as an individual square. So I'm going in with a little bit of dark red, kind of cutting each pad diagonally like this. And then I'm just going to do a few. And then I'm going to go with my cadmium red. I'm going to pick up the cadmium red. I'm going to hit up the dark red. So it's going to be on the underside of each square of the padding. And then what I want to do is go in my vermilion, which is kind of an orangey red, and this will be the upper side of the pad. And again, I may just leave a little bit of white shining through here on each square. So I'm not going to do the whole vest, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how I would tackle that, if that makes sense. Okay, the clock's going to grab me, so what I want to do really quick, I want to show you how I got that effect, that background effect, that bursting effect that I used on clutch. So the first thing I did was I took the yellow, and the good thing about this, and maybe we'll just do a corner here so we could get it done. The good thing about this is you don't have to be super neat about it. You know, it's a bomb blast, so you don't have to be very neat about it. And hopefully this yellow shows up. And I'm using my chart pack markers, which bleed a bit, and that's actually handy here. So you just kind of go zigzag around the figure. I like to go behind the figure a little bit, so it looks a little more natural, so it doesn't look like it's just a force field going all around this guy. And then what I do is I go in with my cadmium red chart pack marker, and I do kind of the same thing, but with more of another layer of it. Okay, so I'm overlapping the yellow. That's okay. You just go back and forth, back and forth. It's okay to go off the edge a little bit. I'll just do this corner. Overlap, and keep it nice and fuzzy and looking kind of like fire and like a bomb burst, Make it nice and kind of a tattered edge here. And then go in with your black. And what I do is I take the black to the edge. It's okay. I know I'm getting it on my table, but so be it. And again, keeping that red nice and tattered, nice and explosive looking. And that gives me my background. And I'm going to do this, we're just doing a corner here so you can see how I do it. But I would really be doing it all the way around him. So those are just some of the special effects that I would be doing on this guy. So I hope to be doing some more Joes. I think a lot of people seem to like the Joes a lot, and I sure do, and I have fun drawing them. So I do them in the order of personal importance. So I know people are probably thinking, hey, where's Snake Eyes, where's Scarlet and Storm Shadow and all those guys? I'm doing, since I'm doing these for myself, I'm doing the ones that matter the most to me. So Clutch is my favorite. Flash was my first. He's the one who started it all. So, but we'll get to your favorites. Just stay tuned. Keep coming back. Click like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And as always, keep drawing, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody. Go, Joe.